let me ask you about the redistricting battles. Are people following this in Congress? Texas is going to add 5 Republicans. California is going to try and amend their constitution to get rid of a constitutional amendment from 20 years ago. I don't know that it'll pass. Probably will. It's a machine out there. Does it take up much time in people's conversations?
I think it's definitely one of the items on the menu of members of Congress who are back home in their districts taking the temperature of constituents right now. But it's interesting because it's something that Democrats are really upset about in Texas, right? I mean, this is one of the angriest they've been, and they've been pretty angry since January. And part of the reason for that anger is I think they've realized how powerless they really are to do any further gerrymandering, because most blue states are already gerrymandered to the maximum extent possible. And so if there's going to be some sort of redistricting arms race, only Republicans are going to benefit from that. And that's the realization that's dawning on congressional Democrats.
Yeah, California may offset Texas 5-5, but nothing's given because California is so badly run and in such terrible shape, they might have a revolution on their hands. But let's just say it's a net zero. Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, Florida, maybe New Hampshire, they can all redistrict. Ohio must redistrict under state law. I don't know that Republicans can hold on to the House, but they have a lot better shot of picking up more seats via redistricting than Democrats do. So I think Gavin Newsom's screwing the Democrats, and Democrats are going to remember that.
Right. I mean, you don't normally have redistricting done in a year that ends in 5. You have it usually after the census. So the fact that you're doing it at this point in time is a little bit unorthodox. But Gavin Newsom is the one that turned this into a partisan arms race when it was just Texas redrawing the maps, finding an opportunity to do so and seizing it. If this does become a tit-for-tat situation, we've already seen Illinois, for example, gerrymandered to the hilt, and it's a heavily blue state. You know, all of the most populous blue states have already done essentially what Texas is doing right now. California couldn't because of its state constitution. If this becomes the norm, Republicans are set to tilt the playing field towards themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I think Danny Perez in Florida would be well advised to go forward and redistrict. He's the leader of the House down there from which it must emerge. I think Ohio's going to. Mike Braun in Indiana, I really think he ought to do it. I think Nebraska ought to get rid of that funky district that sends a Democrat from an overwhelming red state. There is no voting rights impediment there. It is an arms race. And you know what? The stakes are pretty high, Sarah. Would you agree? The stakes are very high?
Of course, absolutely. And the other thing that Democrats are staring down the barrel of is those very populous blue states are hemorrhaging residents, and the biggest red states are gaining residents. So they will have even fewer electoral college votes and potentially even fewer congressional districts to hand out to their friends by the time we get to 2030. So there's a lot of math that just doesn't work for Democrats because of the way the population has shifted, because these states are poorly run.
Yeah, 2032 is going to be here before anyone notices. And boy, when the census is done well, and it was done very poorly in 2020, it's going to shake the country to its roots. It's a fundamentally center-right country. It's not been represented as such because of the fiasco of the census in 2020.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.